You don't even realize you weren't invited until the third story in. You're lying in bed, swiping lazily through your phone, half scrolling, half snoozing, when your sister's post catches your eye. A slow pan of champagne glasses clinking under fairy lights captioned, "Best day ever for the best little family." Rooftop shower, that anchor baby on board. You blink. Pause. Swipe again. The next one is a boomerang of your brother. Your brother standing under an arch of baby blue balloons, hand on your sister-in-law's bump, both of them laughing like a Hallmark ad come to life. Still you wait. You keep scrolling because surely, this isn't what it looks like. There must be a photo of you there somewhere. A blurry shot of you holding a mimosa in the background. A tagged post, a comment. A clue. But nothing. You start noticing the little details. The catered brunch, the rooftop view, the custom onesies printed with Daddy's little CEO, the guest list people you haven't seen in years, some you barely remember from your cousin's wedding, but not you. Not even a text, not even a hey, just so you know we're keeping it small. You blink again, but the screen doesn't change. That's when it hits you. You weren't invited, not forgotten, excluded, intentionally. And suddenly your body goes quiet. Not numb, not yet, just still. The way it does when you catch yourself bleeding before the pain sets in. You sit up, replay the past few weeks in your head, no mention of a shower, no whispers, no hint, just casual conversations, group texts, the usual thumbs up emojis, and now this. You open the family group chat. Scroll up! They've been planning this for a while. The signs were there. A vague message from your mom about keeping next Sunday open. A weird never mind from your brother when you asked what the big secret was. Your sister suddenly going quiet after you mentioned you bought a new outfit last week. The one you thought might have been perfect for a special occasion. And now it makes sense. You type a message. Just looks like the party was a hit. Rooftop view is nice. You hit send. Then you wait. 3 dots, then nothing. 4 minutes pass. Your aunt reacts with a heart. Your mom sends a gif of a baby in sunglasses. No one replies. No one explains. And that silence, that sticky, sharp, no one knows what to say silence feels worse than any insult could. You lock your phone and just sit there. The room is quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that rings. You're not angry yet. You're stunned. Because this isn't about a party. It's about being told in the most passive, polished, Instagrammable way possible that you are not part of the picture they want to frame. And that realization doesn't just sting, it burns. You don't open the group chat again that night. You just lie there flat on your back, staring at the ceiling, like it might offer some kind of answer. But all it gives you is the faint sound of a pipe groaning through the wall, and the reminder that you live in a space small enough to hear your neighbors sneeze. That's the thing about moments like these, they don't explode. They settle, like dust, quiet everywhere, clinging to everything. By morning, you've talked yourself down. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they assumed you couldn't come. Maybe they thought you'd be out of town. Didn't you mention that work conference a while back? Maybe they didn't want to bother you. You pour coffee, sit with the maybes. You're halfway through your second cup when your phone buzzes. A text from your mom. It wasn't personal. We just had to keep it small. Love you. The exclamation mark is the part that gets you. It's like putting a bandage on a cut you made yourself and calling it cheerful. You don't reply. Later that day, your best friend sends you a screenshot of your sister-in-law's post. You haven't even told her what happened, but she already knows. The caption is smug, even for her. Only the people who truly support us made it Tachachan filtered guest list. You feel it in your stomach. That line, only the people who truly support us. You remember being the one who drove her to the ER when she had that allergy scare. Who stayed up folding programs for her wedding while she complained about the font. Who told your brother he should propose back when no one else was sure. You supported them. But apparently not in a way that counted. You type out a reply to your mom, then delete it. You try calling your brother. It goes to voicemail. You almost send your sister-in-law a sarcastic message, something like, "Glad I made the shortlist in spirit," but you don't. Because this is a different kind of pain. Not betrayal, erasure. You walk to the kitchen and open the fridge, but everything inside feels wrong. You close it, pace a little, sit, stand, repeat. Then, against your better judgment, you open your laptop. You start scrolling the photos again. They're all too perfect. Every plate symmetrical, every guest glowing. No crumbs, no chaos, no reality. just a timeline they could control a version of life without your face in the frame. That's when the anger finally bubbles up. Not loud, not volcanic, just precise. You zoom in on one photo the group shot taken at golden hour, all of them smiling like nothing's ever gone wrong. And you say out loud to no one, "You want filtered fine. Let's see how you handle truth." You don't know exactly what that means yet, but something has shifted. A quiet vow begins to write itself inside your chest. You're done being the footnote in their highlight reel. They left you out of the picture. You're about to show them what happens when the one they excluded turns the camera around. The moment you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, everything sharpens. You see the pattern now like dust finally illuminated in a stream of sunlight, the years of microslights dressed up as family banter, the birthdays they remembered late, the inside jokes you were never quite inside. You've always been orbiting useful, polite, expected, but never invited in at the core. And this baby shower, this wasn't an accident. It was confirmation. You revisit the group chat once more, not to say anything, just to look. The banner still reads family. The heart feels sarcastic now. You scroll past the pastel mood boards your sister dropped in weeks ago with just inspo written beneath. Past your mom's, that view looks amazing, baby. So proud of you too. Past the moment when they started calling the baby our little prince, and you realized our didn't include you. You're not sure how long you've been staring at your screen, but your coffee's gone cold. Outside, the sky turns that late afternoon gold, the kind that makes everything look more romantic than it really is. You close the chat, open a note, title it Things I Let Slide. You start typing. That time your brother said you were too sensitive when you didn't laugh at the joke about your job. The Thanksgiving where you were asked to help in the kitchen while everyone else drank wine and talked vacations. The way your dad always introduces you as the artsy one, like that's the full headline. The year they gave you socks for Christmas and a spa weekend to your sister-in-law. The shower. You keep going until the list is longer than you thought it'd be. You read it twice, then delete it. Not because it isn't true, but because you don't want to build your power on a record of slights. You want something cleaner, smarter. So you start sketching a plan, not revenge exactly, more like a demonstration, a quiet spectacle, something that doesn't scream, "Look what you missed," but whispers it elegantly through the walls of their curated life. You order a baby gift, but not just any gift. You design it. A custom onesie, sure, but this one embroidered in sleek charcoal thread, not baby blue. Minimalist font, understated. And the text, "Don't worry, I wasn't invited either." You have it shipped directly to them, signature required. Then you begin phase 2. You write a letter. Not angry, not passive-aggressive, just coldly poetic. It reads, "Dear new parents, congratulations on your growing family. I heard the party was beautiful from everyone else. Consider this a gift from the one you left out. Thoughtfully designed, carefully chosen, just like your guest list. May your child grow up surrounded by love, truth, and maybe one day perspective. Warmest regards, the family member you forgot you had." You include a gift receipt. No name on the package. Let them guess. Let them feel it. Not in public, not yet, but in private. The morning after the glitter settles, when the tags are still attached to unopened gifts and the thank you cards are halfway drafted. You want it to arrive then, to disrupt the curated calm, to remind them that the people you leave out don't always stay quiet. You press order, and for the first time since the baby shower bomb dropped, you feel peaceful. You're not out for blood. You're just done being invisible. And soon they'll remember exactly who they left off the rooftop. It arrives 2 days later. You know because you set up the delivery to require a signature, not a door drop, not something they could pretend never came. Someone had to sign for it, hold the weight of it in their hands, walk it into their curated living room full of pastel baby stuff and rooftop memories. The tracking app pings delivered, signed by A. Murray, your sister-in-law. You stare at the screen and picture the moment. Maybe she opens it with a soft gasp, thinking it's another designer swaddle from her registry. Maybe she pulls the lid off with one hand, distracted by her phone in the other. Maybe your brother is sitting on the couch next to her, still riding the high of being Dad of the Year on social media. Maybe they're both laughing. Until they see the onesie. Until they read the message. You imagine her face folding in that slow, downward way her expressions always do when something doesn't flatter her. Not horror, not even confusion, just insult. and your brother staring at it like it's a riddle, not quite sure what it means, but knowing it's sharp enough to draw blood. You wait. An hour passes, nothing. Then 2. Then 5. By dinner, you're convinced they won't mention it, that they'll pretend it never arrived, that they'll fold it up, shove it in a drawer, and vow to keep their perfect little bubble intact. But then your phone buzzes. It's your brother? No greeting. Just, did you send this? You don't answer right away. You let it sit. Then type back, you tell me. He replies almost instantly. Why would you do this? There it is, the shift. Not, we're sorry. Not, we missed you. Just confusion, discomfort. The kind that only happens when people realize you are no longer playing the role they cast you in. You don't reply. Instead, you post a photo to your story. It's subtle. A cup of coffee on a windowsill, city skyline in the background, soft morning light. But the mug, it's from the baby shower, set one of the gifts that accidentally ended up in your old college box in the attic, the one they told you to throw out years ago. You zoom in just enough that someone who knows would recognize it. And your caption, love this view. Shame it doesn't include everyone. Within 20 minutes, your sister unfollows you. Your brother texts again. Okay, we get it, you're mad. But this is kind of messed up. That's when you realize something important. They don't regret what they did. They regret how it looks now. Because the baby shower wasn't just a celebration. It was a campaign, a performance. And you just dropped an off-script moment right in the middle of it. You think about texting him back, about pointing out how easy it would have been to say, we missed you. Or even, we thought you'd say no. But no, you let the silence hang there. Let them sit in the discomfort they handed you first. You go for a walk, clear sky, cold air. You stop by the bookstore, pick up a novel you don't need, and sip a tea that doesn't taste particularly special. But for once, everything feels still. You aren't trying to win anything. You're not after an apology, a seat at the next party, or some grand confession of guilt. You just wanted balance. And for the first time in years, you've got it. Later that night, as you're brushing your teeth, your phone lights up again. It's your mom. One sentence. Can we talk about what happened? You stare at the message, and for a long, sweet moment, you do nothing. Because now, you get to decide when or if the conversation begins. You don't answer right away. Your mom's message sits there quietly blinking like a lighthouse on a foggy coastline. Can we talk about what happened? You don't owe her anything. You remind yourself of that twice as you close the message, drop your phone on the nightstand, and climb into bed. But your brain, ever the loyal traitor, doesn't drop it so easily. Because what happened isn't just the baby shower. It's every time she asked you to be the bigger person. Every time she downplayed the little digs your siblings tossed like candy. Every time she told you to stop overreacting, while they kept underperforming. And maybe worst of all, every time she called you so independent, not as a compliment, but as a way to justify leaving you out. Still, you don't sleep much that night. Not because you're hurt, not anymore, but because you're finally wide awake in your own story. And waking up, as it turns out, is loud. By morning, there's another message, this time from your dad. I don't want to get involved, but your mom's upset. Just talk to her. You read it twice, then put your phone down and make eggs. Because of course he doesn't want to get involved. He never did. Not when your brother called you dramatic. Not when your sister-in-law said you suck the joy out of group settings. Not when you cried in the guest bathroom during Christmas Eve and rejoined the table like nothing happened. He wants smooth, he wants silence. You were never either. So you don't text back. Instead, you open your laptop and you begin. Not an email, not a response, a post, a story. You write it for yourself, not to humiliate anyone, not even to go viral, but to tell the truth, the kind that doesn't fit neatly under a photo caption. You write, I wasn't invited to my brother's baby shower. There was a rooftop custom onesies, catered everything. They called it a small gathering, but there were 42 people in the pictures. I counted. I got no text, no heads up, just a front row seat to a celebration of a family that always forgets I'm part of it. And when I sent a gift, a quiet pointed little onesie embroidered with the truth, the reaction wasn't, we're sorry. It was, why would you do this? That's the part that still echoes. The question they asked not about what they did, but why I dare to name it. You post it with no tags, no hashtags, just truth. And you go about your day. 3 hours later, the likes are steady. Not viral, but visible. People comment, been there. This hit hard. Funny how family means you don't get to be upset. You feel a strange calm settle in. And then your sister DMs you. Just wow, bold move. You don't answer. Because it wasn't a move. It was a mirror. And they just don't like what they see in it. Your mom calls next. You let it ring out. She texts, I read your post. I didn't know you felt that way. You almost reply you did, you just didn't care. But again, you wait. Because you've learned something powerful these past few days. There's a difference between silence and choice. Before you were silent because you didn't know how to speak without apologizing for it. Now you're silent because it makes them sit with the echo of what they said and what they didn't. You go to bed early that night, not because you're tired, because you're done. And tomorrow, if they call again, you still decide what happens next. The next morning, your sister-in-law finally breaks the silence. She doesn't text, she emails. You open it expecting something passive-aggressive wrapped in Pinterest quotes and faux sincerity. But it's different. It starts off with, I've been avoiding this, probably because I knew I couldn't spin it. You sit up. She goes on, I didn't think you'd care. That sounds terrible, I know. But I assumed you wouldn't want to come. You always feel distant at these things. I told myself I was protecting your peace. You scoff out loud, protecting your peace. That's rich. But then she adds something else. Truth is, I didn't want your energy there. I was afraid it would shift the room. You ask real questions. You notice what people pretend not to see. And that makes people uncomfortable. Especially me. You blink. It's not quite an apology, but it's an admission. You reread that part again. The phrase your energy sitting there like a shard of glass dressed up in soft language. For years, they painted you as the difficult one, the killjoy, the one who made everything complicated by daring to feel things out loud. But now she's saying what you always knew. Your honesty made them nervous. Because you couldn't be molded. You don't reply. Not because you're hurt, not because you're angry, but because you want to sit with the fact that she finally said something real, even if it came wrapped in justifications. You forward the email to yourself, archive it, keep the receipt. Meanwhile, your post continues to ripple. A friend texts, this is the realest thing I've read in months, you're brave. A former coworker DMs, thank you, my family acts the same. I thought I was the problem. You didn't mean to start a fire. You just stopped hiding your matchbook. You spend the afternoon at a cafe laptop, open sunlight slicing across your table. The barista remembers your name now. Not because of fame, just consistency. You like that, being known in small, kind ways. Then your brother calls. This time you answer. He sounds tired, not angry, not performative, just worn down. Look, he says, I didn't think this would blow up like it did. You wait. I didn't mean to make you feel like you weren't family. You exhale, finally, something closer to truth. You didn't make me feel anything you say calm as glass. You showed me what I was. He goes quiet, and then softly, what do you want me to do? It's not sarcastic, it's not defensive. It's just a man who finally realizes the script he grew up with is broken, and he doesn't know how to write a new one. You take your time. Then you say, next time you think I wouldn't want to be there, ask anyway. Let me decide. Another pause. Okay. You sip your coffee. And I don't want an apology that's just about optics, you continue. This isn't about the post. This is about years. I know, he says. I'm trying to unlearn it. You nod. He can't see it, but maybe he feels it. I'm not here to burn it all down, you say. But I'm not putting myself back in a family photo that only wants me for symmetry. He lets out a breath. That's fair. And somehow it is. You end the call without fanfare. No promises, no re-entry. Just clarity. That night you light a candle. Not for forgiveness, for space. Because maybe they'll change. Maybe they won't. But you already did. You don't tell anyone, but you keep the onesie. Not to send back, not to hang up like a trophy. You just keep it, folded neatly in a drawer between an old concert tee and the cardigan. Your grandmother knitted you before her memory slipped away. Because it means something now, not bitterness, not revenge, but proof that once you spoke up for yourself in a language they couldn't ignore and still can't. A week passes. The emails stop. The texts slow. The fire cools as fires always do. And what's left is warm ash and changed air. You're not trying to stretch the moment into something it isn't. You're not replaying their messages. You're not waiting for a sequel. You're moving at your own pace. You update your LinkedIn, redesign your portfolio, say yes to a freelance offer in a different city. Just for a few months, a soft reboot, a breath of clean space where no one asks, what's your brother up to these days? Like his, life's the measuring stick for your own. The apartment you rent is small and bright. The windows are terrible at blocking wind, but excellent at catching sunrise. You fill it with plants you finally have time to water, books you never finished, photos you took but never posted. And one day out of nowhere, your mom calls again. Not to ask if you're okay, to tell you that they're having another get-together. A family brunch, she calls it. Casual, no big production. You're invited, of course. Of course. You smile. Not because you believe it's different this time, but because you know you are. I'll think about it, you say. And you mean it? Because the version of you they assumed would always say yes. Always show up, always fill the silence with cheerful nods. That version is gone, replaced by someone who takes invitations as options, not obligations. Someone who doesn't dress up hurt as loyalty anymore. You hang up, and for the first time in a long time, you don't immediately reach for your phone afterward. No spiral, no overthinking, just stillness. It's disorienting in a good way. The next time your sister posts a story, it's a picture of the baby. Chubby cheeks, little grin, blue onesie with ducks. Not yours, obviously, but you double tap it anyway. Because the baby isn't responsible for the mess they made. And you're not here to be cold, just clear. You're learning to hold boundaries without making them blades, to let things go without making a spectacle of the release. This is what healing looks like sometimes. Boring, quiet, unposted. You take a walk by the river that evening, cold wind, burnt orange leaves. A woman walks past with a stroller and nods politely. You nod back. You're not sure where all this leads this new self, this unlearning, this wide-open version of life with fewer shoulds and more maybes. But you like it, because now finally, when you picture the future, you're in it, front and center. They keep inviting you after that. Once, twice, then more. A birthday lunch, a casual dinner, a family movie night just like old times. And maybe they believe that if they just keep asking eventually, things will snap back into place like nothing happened. Like the baby shower never became a mirror. Like you never held it up to their curated lives and said, look closer. But you don't rush. You go to one of the dinners not out of obligation but as a test. You arrive 10 minutes late just to see how it lands. They hug you a little too tightly, smile a little too brightly, like they're trying to outrun their own awkwardness. The baby's there in a high chair cooing between bites of mashed sweet potato. Your sister-in-law gives you a strained, glad you could make it like a line from a script she didn't rehearse enough. You nod, sit, stay mostly quiet. Your brother talks about work. Your mom brings up a neighbor's divorce. Your dad plays with the baby to avoid eye contact. They want this to feel normal, but it's not. You're not angry. You're just watching, like someone inspecting the walls of a house you used to live in. You know where the cracks are now, where the cold leaks in, and where the foundation is hollow. You help clear the dishes when it's over. On your way out, your mom says, see, this wasn't so bad. You smile. It wasn't, you say, and you mean it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't enough. Back in your apartment, you pour tea. Sit on the floor with your back against the couch. Think about the past few months, how much has shifted. Not because of one act, but because you finally stopped waiting for them to value you the way you needed to be valued. They probably think it was the onesie that changed things. The viral post, the email, the dramatic fallout. But you know better. The real change was internal. It was the moment you realized you don't need to earn space in a family that never bothered to make room in the first place. You choose to return when you want, not when they finally open the door. One afternoon, your sister texts a photo of the baby wearing a bib that says, coolest aunt ever. No context, just the photo and a little sparkle emoji. You don't reply, not because you're bitter, but because you know what she's trying to do. And you're not in the mood to be reabsorbed by a machine that only operates when you play your part right. You're no longer part of the supporting cast. You become your own show. A few days later, you write again. A short essay this time, a follow-up. Not petty, not barbed, just honest. You talk about boundaries, about how being left out taught you something precious, that the world doesn't end when someone excludes you. Sometimes it finally begins. You end with a line that floats in your head for days before you dare to type it. My family didn't break me. They built a smaller table. I just chose to build my own. You post it quietly and walk away, not for attention, but for yourself. Because now, you don't need applause. You've got peace. By the time spring arrives, the story has faded. Not from your mind, but from theirs. They folded the baby shower fallout into the family narrative, one of those rough patches they refer to with lowered voices and exaggerated eye rolls. The kind they mention over dinner with a casual, well, things were a little tense, but we got through it. As if growth happened, as if something healed. But you know better. You haven't forgotten. Not in the vengeful, grudge-holding way. You've just stopped letting them write the version of events that gets passed down like gospel. Because here's what they don't understand. Silence isn't the same as forgiveness. You haven't forgotten the rooftop, or the onesie, or the moment you realized you were no longer waiting to be chosen. And when they make comments, subtle little digs wrapped in family humor, you no longer laugh politely. You don't participate in the smoothing over. When your dad says you always had a flair for the dramatic, you don't smile or bite your tongue. You say, or maybe I was the only one not pretending. The table goes quiet, but you're not embarrassed. You're free. The baby grows quickly. You get updates here and there, a text, a group photo, a video of tiny, clumsy steps. And surprisingly, you don't feel left out. You feel detached, not cold, just grounded. You send gifts sometimes, thoughtful ones. No sharp edges, no embroidered messages, just kindness on your terms. You don't go to every event. You don't explain when you don't. And no one questions it anymore, because the power dynamic has shifted not with a bang, but a steady tilting of gravity. Now, when you enter a room, they watch what they say. Now, when you're quiet, they wonder what you're thinking. Not because they fear a blow-up, because they respect what silence from you could mean. One evening, your brother pulls you aside during a family barbecue. Just the two of you near the edge of the lawn while everyone else buzzes around the grill and drinks from red cups like no time has passed. He says, I know we messed up. We treated you like a footnote, and you were never that. You nod. Let it hang in the air. You don't rush to fill the silence. And when he adds, I wish we'd made room sooner, you reply simply, I made my own. That's what saved me. He nods. There's no long hug, no music swelling in the background. Just a quiet acknowledgement between two people standing at the edge of something they can't quite name. But it's enough. You go home that night without replaying anything. And when you lie down in bed, you realize something. You're no longer waiting for them to become better people. You're just deciding moment by moment if they're still worth sharing space with. And that choice, that freedom, is your quiet revenge. The kind that doesn't need to be posted. Just lived. You almost don't go to the baby's first birthday party. Not out of spite. Not even out of hesitation. Just calm disinterest. You've made peace with your place in the family now, or maybe the lack of a place. You don't need their approval like oxygen anymore. And the emotional hunger they used to leave you with, it's gone. Not because they filled it, but because you learned to feed yourself. But you go, not for them, for the baby. Because he didn't choose any of this. He didn't curate a guest list or build a rooftop narrative around who matters and who doesn't. He just exists soft round and unaware of the lines adults draw in invisible ink. You show up halfway through the party. No grand entrance. No gift bag clutched dramatically in your hand. Just you in your own skin walking in like a person who knows their value. They all look a little surprised. Your brother hugs you longer than he used to. Your mom flutters around nervously offering you cupcakes like they're bandages. Your sister-in-law gives a smile that tries hard but doesn't reach her eyes. You thank them all politely. The baby reaches for you with sticky fingers and babbles something that sounds vaguely like your name. You pick him up and he immediately tugs your earring like it's a test of character. You pass. You stay just long enough to laugh at a joke, to take one blurry photo, to make eye contact with your brother across the room and see for once actual respect. And then you leave, not with drama, not to prove anything, just because you're ready to go. On the way home, you stop by the same rooftop where they had the shower. It's quiet now. No balloons, no catered spread, just empty tables and city noise folding into twilight. You sit at one of the benches, watch the skyline, sip from a small thermos of tea you brought from home, and you remember. Not the pain, not the exclusion, just the shift. The quiet, powerful moment when you finally chose yourself. You still get messages now and then, invitations, requests, the occasional, let's catch up from cousins who once smiled past you like you were glass. But everything feels different now, because you're no longer waiting to be seen. You are the one doing the seeing. When you get home, you fold the birthday invitation and tuck it in the same drawer as the onesie. Not out of sentiment, out of record keeping, evidence, not of what they did to you, but of what you rose from. And now, there's no more last laugh to be had. Because you're not laughing anymore. You're living. Fully, honestly, unapologetically, exactly as you are. Now the world feels softer. Not because it changed, but because you stopped fighting it for a seat that was never built for you. You started building your own table, one quiet choice at a time, one boundary at a time, one unreturned text at a time. There are still days when the ache returns like an old bruise touched by memory, but it doesn't hollow you out anymore. You sit with it, you let it speak, and then you let it leave. You learn the hardest way that love isn't about proximity. It's about reciprocity, and that being related doesn't make you safe, that being left out doesn't make you wrong, that being the one who notices too much feels too deep, asks too many questions doesn't make you difficult. It makes you awake. There's peace in the small things now, a slow morning, a perfectly buttered piece of toast, a text from someone who sees you not as an obligation, but as a choice, the gentle satisfaction of choosing silence not to be polite, but to be free. And maybe, just maybe, the last laugh isn't a laugh at all. It's the quiet smile you wear when you realize you've outgrown the room they kept trying to shrink you into. So you sit there in your own space with your own voice and your own peace, and you say, without needing to say it aloud, I'm still here, still kind, still clear, still choosing yourself over and over again. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.